To continue what I was saying before the phone ran out of space, I'm not going to be bullied into condemning somebody who I don't believe deserves condemnation, just to satisfy some woke agenda or whatever. I mean, I myself, as I said in the previous video, have been the subject of gossip, and I've been condemned, and I've had a lot of malicious things said about me, and I had people hopping on the bandwagon, and some of them sincerely believed they should, and some maybe didn't believe it, I don't know, but I'll give some people the benefit of the doubt that spread those rumors, because they may sincerely have believed that they were keeping the community safe from a predator. And so I can't fault them for that, even though what they did was really hurtful to me. This, I got the weeds blowing in my face here. There's a good breeze today. You can see the tree blowing around there and stuff. It's nice. It's actually really nice today. It's a good day to be outside. Anyway, here's the thing. Right now, we're being put under so much pressure to conform to certain things and to believe what we're told to believe, and to condemn certain people and to uphold other people and all the rest of it. And, basically I decide for myself what I believe and who I'll uphold and who I won't uphold, and I'm not prepared to condemn anybody based on such flimsy evidence. Now, I don't know that the person who made the comment isn't a racist, but I don't know that they are either. And so I certainly can't come to that conclusion based on the comment they made, because as far as I can tell, the comment they made was just a comment that was made in good fun, and it was a joke. And as far as I know, it wasn't intended to be anything more than that. I have no reason to believe it was, and I don't believe it was. And so I'm not going to condemn anybody for something like that. And if that means I lose some subscribers, that's fine. It's too bad. I don't want people to unsubscribe from my channel. I don't want people to think badly of me. And this lady's indicated that she now thinks badly of me, that she's disappointed in me because I didn't react the way she thinks I should. But the problem is, I don't react according to what other people think. So, I react according to what I think. So just like I uphold her in the sense that she should react however she thinks she should react. So if she feels she needs to openly condemn this person, which she did, who made the comment, then, nothing wrong with that. She's doing what her conscience is telling her to do. If she feels she needs to openly condemn me, which she did, again, I uphold her in that. She has a right to do that if she believes I'm worthy of condemnation. And if her conscience tells her that's what she should do. And if she doesn't want to watch my videos anymore, well, I'll miss her. I enjoyed our banter back and forth and stuff in the comments. But you know what? Her conscience is telling her that that's what she needs to do, and so that's what she should do. But my conscience is telling me to handle things the way I'm handling them. And I'm going to do it the way my conscience tells me to do it. And as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't mean that I'm a hateful person or a racist or a hypocrite. The lady in her comment about me said, well, you can't call yourself a believer. You shouldn't call yourself a believer in God if you're not prepared to condemn this person who made this what she, in her estimation, was a racist comment. The problem is, Jesus didn't just go around condemning people, He really didn't. And this stove keeps going out. I'm trying to boil some potatoes here. Jesus didn't do that. And we shouldn't do it either. That's the bottom line there. We need to get over this business of, Anyway, the thing is, bottom line with all of it is that, okay, we'll try this again. I got the wind flaps up here, the things here to keep it from doing that, but I don't know. Anyway, here's the thing. Again, I don't believe any of that is true. I don't believe that I kind of lost my train of thought there. I don't believe that I'm a racist, or that I'm a hateful person, or that I'm a hypocrite, or that the stand I've taken on this issue contradicts my belief in God. Jesus himself was the victim of false accusations. What did they do? When they dragged him up before Pontius Pilate, what did they do? They trumped up a case against him. The elders in the synagogue did that. And then they stirred the crowd up against him. The same crowd that praised him when he was riding into Jerusalem on a donkey just days before, that were laying palm fronds down on the ground in front of his donkey and singing his praises, that same crowd was there condemning him because the elders were saying all this stuff, and the elders were getting them all stirred up. And they were a bunch of followers. They'd had no mind of their own, And there was a mob mentality. And people hate Pilate, but I'll tell you something. When I read that story, I kind of feel bad for Pilate. People are going to wonder why. Again, this is another opinion that may get me into trouble, but I'll tell you why. Pilate saw through it. Pontius Pilate, for all his faults, was not a stupid man. He saw through it. He knew that this was a trumped-up case. He talked to Jesus for a couple of minutes, and he figured it out. He was looking at Jesus and saying, what on earth, why have they brought you here? What business do you have with me? And, Jesus pretty much said, you'll have to ask them that, and like that. Pilate actually, I think, liked Jesus. Pilate didn't want to condemn Jesus. That's why Pilate went through the whole dog and pony show before he condemned him. Pilate sent Jesus off to be whipped, thinking, well, maybe that will placate the crowd when we bring him back out here and he's all whipped to hell. Maybe then they'll realize that they're making a mistake, and maybe they'll say, well, good enough, and they'll let me release him. Of course, that didn't happen because the high priest and all the others, the Pharisees and all those people, had the crowd all stirred up. Then he brought out Barabbas, who was the worst criminal they had in their jail at the time, because it was a Passover time or whatever. It was customary that the Roman governor would release a prisoner of that the Jewish people would choose. And so he told the guards, he said, bring out the worst SOB we've got in there. Bring out some murderous piece of crap. The worst guy we have in there. I want to stand him up beside this Jesus guy. This Jesus character here that they're making a false accusation against. And so they brought out Barabbas. Mean man, nasty man. Had done all kinds of horrible things. By rights, if anybody should have been executed that day, it was Barabbas. Really. And he said to the people, okay, who do you want me to release? Do you want this Jesus guy who you say said some stuff you don't like? Or do you want this Barabbas here who's gone around raping, robbing, and murdering people for a long time? Who do you want? And they said, give us Barabbas. And by all accounts, Pilate was just beside it. He couldn't believe it. He threw his hands up in the air. He said, what on earth? What's wrong with these people? They're actually choosing to have this thing released back out so that he can do more of what he's been doing. He couldn't figure it out, but that's what they wanted. So he said, all right, very well. That's what you want. If you want this murderous son of a bitch back, then you can have him. Then he said, but what am I to do with this Jesus? They said, kill him, crucify him. We don't want him, we don't like him. And he was just amazed. He couldn't believe it. But he did. He sentenced him to death. And the thing is, the people were threatening to revolt. And, Pilate had already been put on notice because there had been a revolt there not long before that they had to put down. And Pilate was put on notice. If there's any more trouble in your territory, you're going to be recalled to Rome. You're going to have a conversation with Caesar. Well, Pilate didn't know that because he knew what that meant was death. If he got recalled to Rome, they would kill him. And he knew that. And he was frightened. He wanted to save his own skin. Now, you may judge him for that, but how many of us wouldn't do the same in his situation? And then bear in mind, he didn't have any great knowledge or any belief in the Jewish God, in the God of the Bible. His gods were all Roman gods. So he figured that this Jewish religion was nothing anyway. This was just a religion of the savages he was put in charge of. And so he came at the situation with no knowledge of what was really going on. In a situation where he was already terrified of another rebellion or another uprising because he knew that meant for him. He knew that. He'd already been put on notice that that would happen. And on top of that, he knew he was faced here with an innocent man that didn't deserve any of what was being done to him. The accusations were all false. And that's why Pilate washed his hands. He said, "Do what you want, I wash my hands of it." And that's why he put the scroll on the cross, too, that said, "Here is Jesus, King of the Jews." And the Jewish elders went to him. They said, "You shouldn't have done that." And he said, "Well, too bad I did it. Like it or not. Don't care if you like it, I did it anyway." Because he resented them for forcing him to execute an innocent man. That's what it was. So, I think Pilate in some ways gets a bad rap. Like I say, I know there's going to be Christian people on here furious with me for saying that. But I really do. I think he was placed in an impossible position. And I think he was pressured to do something horrible that he didn't want to do. And he knew he was doing something horrible. And he did it to protect himself. But the thing is, like I say, we can judge him for that. But if you put yourself in his shoes, knowing what little he knew at the time, if you ask yourself this question honestly, how many of you wouldn't do the same? I'll tell you, I'd probably do it. I'd probably sacrifice a peasant in order to save my own skin. And that's not a very nice thing to have to admit to. But if I was in his position, knowing as little as he knew, I'd have probably done the same thing. But see, Jesus was the victim of that mentality. So to tell me that I can't be a true believer because I won't cave into that mentality it's actually quite ironic when you look at it. I mean, anyway, here's the thing. I'm not going to condemn anybody here, and I hope that what I've told in these two videos doesn't cause people to question me and to say, well, maybe he is some sort of a pervert, or maybe he is a pedophile. That's what they were saying about him. You got to wonder. I hope that doesn't happen. I know I'm leaving myself wide open for that by making these videos. All I can tell you is I'm not. I'm really not. And if you believe I am, I guess you believe I am, just like a lot of other people believed it, but I'm not. That's all. And anyway, a big part of my motivation for not condemning people based on very flimsy evidence is that I myself have been condemned on the basis of gossip. Not even evidence, just gossip, just some stuff that was said. Some guy got drunk who was mad at me because he pushed me and I pushed him back. And then he wanted everybody to join in with him and being mad at me and hating me. So he said, that guy's a pedophile. And that was it. And for the next 2 decades, 3 decades, or close to 3 decades, I had to deal with the fallout of that. I should have left the town a long time before I did, really, you know. I should have left the town and started over somewhere else, but I didn't. And I paid every day for not doing it, too. Anyway, and I still pay. You know, I still pay for that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to join the mob. I'm not going to get sucked into, you know, let's condemn people because they make one statement that maybe rubs us the wrong way a little bit, or that could be interpreted a certain way if we really want to stretch it. And, you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I've seen where it leads, and in fact, I've been led to where it leads. I've been pushed to where it leads against my will. And, you know, like I say, to say, well, you're not a believer in Jesus then because you won't